Tax happy hour. Dig.
Yo, we did it. Another week. We lived another
Yeah.
week to sing the praises of us still being here.
You're goddamn right, Brian. I'm glad that you brought it up because I was gonna say it, but geez Louise with cheese. Has this been a hell of a week?
I mean, okay. Let's not before we get to the week. Let's talk about the last 90 minutes in which we did a flash mob on FaceTime, which, by the way, I highly recommend. That was a lot of fun for the entire family. Can you describe your version of that experience?
I literally just wrapped my stream.
Yeah.
So luckily, although it might have been really funny if it happened on stream as well.
To be honest, as we were experiencing this, it was like 50-50. 50-50, this is live. Totally fine if it is. Can't wait.
Yeah. But I had just wrapped the stream, and all of a sudden, I got a call from Brian, and we've been in contact with a bunch of stuff. So a call from Brian in general, not all that odd. A call,
FaceTime.
randomly or multiple times a day, not all that odd. Odd, a FaceTime. A FaceTime is usually like a Brian's out somewhere or with someone special, or it's like a crazy thing.
There's something I want you to see, almost certainly, right?
Oh, yes. Or it's I would say also almost always like personality based. Like you're out with a mutual friend or there's something crazy. So I pick up the FaceTime, and it is the entire Brushwood clan, and they are dressed in a manner for which I could only describe as, remember the Auntie Donna roll call sketch where
Yes.
Zach is the Charles Dickens villain, and he's like, "Whoa, yes, and my oogly boogly boys will be getting you soon." It was like that. Like everybody was just like that, but if those people were in Blade Runner, like there was also a lot of face makeup that made you look like you guys look like you were Joel Schumacher era Batman villains and henchmen.
I don't know how much we've talked about this particular gathering, but did you have an instant sense of what all of us were going for? Because I know we were all dressed very wacky.
No, all I knew was that it was a big wacky time, and I had remembered from our conversation, because we had to bump something today, that you were doing a big birthday party for Callie,
who turned 8 today.
It very much seemed, the costumes that I saw very much seemed like a newly minted 8-year-old girl directed her family to dress like that.
Number one, I'm really glad that you called them costumes, because that's definitely what they were to everybody who participated.
Yes.
Maybe not costumes to the 8-year-old who demanded it. We were all dressed as LOL characters.
LOL characters.
Okay, so here's my theory, and I thought we would explore this
Let's
together.
Go. Yeah.
Okay, images.google.com. I'm going to type in LOL characters. These are dolls. And my theory, and this is one of those things that you don't really bother to really consider one way or another until you're told to dress like one of these. And then all of a sudden you find yourself like, well, what is an LOL character? Then you eventually figure out that...
League of Legends.
Nope, not what.
No?
Yes, that is LOL. Let's see, LOL dolls. Let me type in dolls. LOL dolls pretty much is code for dress like it's 1999. Dress in Jenkos. Dress like in Sparklies. Dress like it's 2002, and you're throwing side eye at Iraq. I don't know why so many of these have genitals on them. That's really disturbing. But wow, all of these have genitals. Why is everybody?
I feel like that's probably the very valuable ones. If they're collectible, you always want the weird ones, right?
With genitals, yeah. Wow,
I presume
there's a
so,
lot
yeah.
of. I feel like there's a violation of terms of service happening right now.
There is an adjacent community to the wrestling fandom that is wrestling toy collectors. And apparently one of the most rare toys you can find in the wrestling figure collection world is a prototype version of Miss Elizabeth, Macho Man Randy Savage's valet, that they made with pubic hair. That when you undress the Miss Elizabeth, it has a little pubic hair. So I would imagine that that's what it is.
Like I am scrolling
just all
down
the weird
and down,
ones.
and fully 15% of these, I'm gonna flash over to one that doesn't have them naked, but like 10 to 15. 20% of these are all naked, and an awful lot of them have genitalia. I'm very disturbed by this. So anyway, that was what we were going for, was LOL characters, which, over the top. We were wearing makeup and looking like dolls or whatever. I wore a hat and a tie and a.
You did look very Albert Scampson.
Yes. In fact, that's straight up what I wore, was the Albert Scampson
You looked like this. So all of a sudden I have Albert. So from my perspective.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Again, walk me through this.
All of a sudden I get Brian's calling me. Boop. Take the Brian call. And Albert Scampson is in my face. And then immediately pulls back to reveal all the rest of the colorfully dressed Brushwoods. At which point, all of the dialogue that happens is just, and they're saying, and I'm saying, and they're saying, and I'm saying, and then eventually Brian goes, bye, and I go, bye. Oh, no. Callie grabbed the phone and goes, it's my birthday. I'm the birthday girl. And I said, happy birthday, Callie. Those were literally the only words spoken between all of it. And then it was screaming. And then Brian yelled bye. And then we hung up the phone.
It's really fun to FaceTime somebody, because FaceTiming is the new ringing of a doorbell, where it's like when the phone rings, you could pretend to not be home. When the doorbell rings, it's like, you're going to have to go out of your way to pretend like that's not your car out there and that's not your dog barking and all that stuff. But FaceTiming brings you back to those good old days. It was a blast. We called you. We called Andrew Main. We called my cousin. We called anybody who I could think of that had FaceTime, and all except for Andrew Heaton answered. And for some reason, like Andrew Heaton, I don't know if he has something disabled or whatever, but there's something about like just a surprise party that shows up on your phone, because everybody got it. Everybody kind of like flash froze for a second, registered that there are 5 humans who have all dressed up and are calling. And that's the other thing, is for the moment, like right now, and who knows how long this will last, but for right now, there's no way to computer fake any of this. Like the only way to cause a Brushwood family to be in costume calling you on FaceTime is to actually put forth the effort. So it's like everybody froze. Everybody realized, I don't know what this thing is, but this appears to be a thing, and I'm happy this thing just showed up on my phone. I'm speaking specifically about Bryce. Bryce gave the best. I still haven't asked him. I hope he liked it. I hope he liked it, because it's a lot to hit you all at once. But he answered the phone with his face, and he's like, yes. And then there we all are doing our surprise party thing. And there's the flash freeze of processing, and then there was what looked to my eyes to be genuine joy, and I hope that's what it was. I'll find out later.
Bryce, it feels like that would tickle the the belly of our boy Bryce,
right?
I think that would very much give him a good time. Yeah, no, it was great. It was actually a pure shot of hilarious adrenaline, the likes of which in our very controlled world. Like, I think that's the kind of no matter where you are mood wise, the one thing that is for sure is that your world is more on rails than it probably would have been otherwise,
or at least used to be back in the day or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the idea of surprise is in short supply these days. And this was It was amazing. It was great.
Okay, so real quick, I'll just kind of hold this up so you can get an idea of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much Albus Scamps or Albert Scampson or whatever. But
Yeah.
but you could see it was fun to play dress up and surprise people. Highly
You want to
recommended.
know what's funny is that we did that for Thanksgiving because we had a couple people over and John Teasdale, my co-creator on Contender, he'd moved away and literally like he moved away after we had all gotten together on one early summer day at Darren's place, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking because he has one of these vans, these like Sprinter vans that he can like sleep in." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about just going back to Vermont for a little bit." And we were like, "Okay, cool." And so as he left, we were just like, "Bye, John. Bye, John." It was like this bit that we were doing, like, and so he never came back, and he might never come back to San Francisco. And so for Thanksgiving, we were all together, and so we just randomly called him and just did, "Hi, John. Bye,
Bye,
John," and that
John.
was it.
Oh, that's
like,
great.
And it was just a real quick thing. But he loved it, and he was like, "Oh my god, that was so great." But there is just something to the idea, especially for FaceTime, because I don't know if you're like me, but I got a ticking clock on a FaceTime. Like, I very much enjoy that first minute. Man, if it's a good conversation, I might even enjoy that second minute. But I don't give a fuck if you're explaining to me if the next minute is me giving you my bank routing numbers so you can give me $1 million. I'm not going to enjoy it. I don't want to hold the phone.
At some point, the very obvious question begins to sneak into your mind of, why are we looking at each other during this? It doesn't seem like any of this requires us to sit up straight and look each other in the fake eyes.
I'll stay on the phone for an hour as long as I can do other shit and walk around and not hold my phone out like
Exactly.
that. But boy, if it's 30 seconds, if it's tops out at a minute, like what was that entire call? We could actually go to the video.
I'm going to guess 15 to 17 seconds tops.
25 seconds long.
Really?
And it was electric.
It was great.
An electric 25 seconds that
Okay.
I would highly recommend.
We called you first. I called Andrew Heaton twice and they failed. Then we called Bryce. Then we called Andrew Main. Then I tried Andrew Heaton a second time and he did not answer. Then I tried Rex Williams and him, Rex, whose on-screen character is so jaded and distant, to see the joy on his face when he realized that we were doing a flash mob for him, was amazing. Then we called Bonnie's brother, who was at work. It did not answer. Then we called my cousin, and that was really fun because first I saw my cousin, then she moved the phone to like she figured out very quick that we were doing a thing, whatever the thing was, we were doing a thing. Then she moved the phone to reveal her son, who's in college now, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then very quickly their delight began to attract other people. And so then my cousin's husband, suddenly his face was in there. And just when an actual conversation was about to happen, I was like, bloop.
Bye.
It was amazing. It was like, that's not the point of this. Bye.
Yeah. Please send an email. Get it approved.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. No, just great, dude. Just awesome. It was.
I'm glad it landed
it was
because
super fun.
Like intentionally there was no real communication happening at all, but I'm glad it was a generally positive experience.
I'm honored I got the first call, to be honest with you. I didn't think that I would rank particularly high at the 8-year-old's birthday party, but I was thrilled.
So there's something about LOLs, and again, I would call up images, except for apparently they're all naked.
I feel like if you had done this Google search, you might have objected to the costuming.
Probably, right? But something about the way they're all dressed. They all look like they're in JNCOs. They all look like they're about to go to a rave or whatever. And then, so for the party, we kept just trying to come up with like early aughts things to listen to or whatever. We ended up, my kids are too young to remember seeing the North Korea military demonstration set to Party Rock by LMFAO.
Oh,
and it's we're entering that kind of awesome phase where a lot of stuff feels retro hilarious to me, but also my kids were too young to remember it happening the first time. So I
Yeah.
kind of get to be the bridge of like stuff is just coming in to remember when. And then the kids are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, of course you don't, because you were 5 back then.
Yeah.
It's a blast. I'm really thankful that, I don't know, we get to do that.
Well, it's like right now we're watching The Crown, and a lot of it is happening like in like my earliest memories. Like there was like an episode where
Oh, you mean the historical facts, not the crowd. I was just like, how long has the crown been going on?
yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
because it's dealing with stuff. So we're in the latest season. It's happening in the mid '80s, and so that's like, into the late '80s is when I'm like first aware of shit in pop culture, at least that was happening currently. And it was like there was an episode where Prince Charles gets like caught in an avalanche, and they don't know if he's dead or not. Um, and I was like, I barely remember. Like, I remember something about like that being a thing. It sparked some kind of latent memory for me. But it is fascinating. There's like this primordial ooze of like your earliest memories, which are like always seared into your brain because they were the first ones to hit there. So those grooves are going to be pretty thick, but also like they were so fucking long ago, and you've used that equipment a billion different times, that it was just like, man, I do remember something about that. And I know my mom was very fixated on Princess Diana because she had me and my brother. Like, me and my brother are the same age as William and Harry.
So along those lines, it occurs to me like I think I was 23, it would have been around 98 or so. I was 23 when Princess Diana died, and I remember I was with I was hanging out with Banachek at the Austin, Texas Association of Magicians convention. But it occurs to me that you might have been young enough that might not have even registered, or do you?
Oh, no. That was a big thing. We were in Pittsburgh because my stepdad, Ron, his family had a wedding. And but for whatever reason, either because their family is fucking huge. Like it's just like they when they all get together for like Christmases and stuff like that, we're talking about like mess hall levels, like military mess hall levels of food that is brought. And so we weren't going. And so it was me, my brother, and a bunch of other kids that weren't going to the wedding, that were just hanging out at this house, and we got pizza and blah, 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 right? But then the Princess Diana stuff happens, and I remember that even broke in on MTV News, because we were watching MTV, and that was like, it was gigantic, and that was like all the adults showed up, and they were drunk and they were angry because there was a fight at the wedding over like the police wound up getting called. It was a thing. So my mom was not pleased with my stepdad because he got put in handcuffs because it was a thing. And
I real quick pause. Everybody listening at home, I want you to know, with every word for the last 25 seconds, I've wanted more to take this off ramp, but I leave that to you whether or not we do, because every word you've spoken has made this sound more and more interesting.
So anyway, everybody comes back drunk and pissed off, and then they're like, Princess Diana died. What the fuck? All right, so the wedding. It was over the fact that the father of the bride had a disagreement with the hotel on when the open bar needed to be rolled away. And their contention, and I'm in my early to mid-teens at this point, so I didn't do any journalistic digging into the veracity of the story.
Old enough to understand that a quote-unquote open bar is a magical and rare thing, and that somebody eventually has to write a check for the thing, or to know that it's valuable.
So yeah. The details as I remember it, or have gathered it since, are such. The family was drinking too much, and either the hotel ran out of stuff or the bartender was annoyed because too much of the hotel's stock was being depleted. So he tried to roll it back. That then became like a chain reaction of Yinzers, because they're all these fucking like Pittsburgh people that are just like, what
Oh,
do you mean? What do you mean? And so it eventually goes back to the father of the bride, in just a stunning avalanche of testosterone. Now the bartender is fighting with the father of the bride. Someone takes a swing at somebody. The cops get called. All I remember is that my uncle and my stepdad were bragging about how many townships they saw police cars pull up from, and they were like 4 township, Cranberry, Moon. Like they were like counting out how big the cop response was to their wedding brawl. And my mom, not pleased at all, was not so enthralled. She was just pleased that despite the fact that my stepdad got put in cuffs and got put in the back of the car, they did not arrest him. They were just literally trying to separate people. And then the cops were like, all right, there's just some bullshit here. We're just gonna let everybody go and get the
okay.
fuck out.
Okay. And I have no dog in this fight whatsoever.
Yeah.
And if it's not worth exploring, it's not worth exploring.
Let's go.
But I'm going to guess I know how I personally feel about the one time I was put in handcuffs and then not arrested.
Yeah.
Pretty great. Like, I know how my wife feels. Almost annoyed, but also pretty great because she knows how the story ended up, right? And she only
Yeah.
found out about it after everything was fine. Your mom
Yeah.
has went through both the part of the story where maybe it was not going to turn out so great and is there for the part where it turned out great.
Well,
How does your
for-
mom feel about that story?
oh, she was fucking so annoyed. So annoyed. Because mostly it's like for her, I think there was a part of her that would have been happier if he would have actually gotten arrested, because she was so done with the idea that you need to get into a fist fight over an open bar. Because like for her, she was like,
Should be an open
everybody's
hand slap, right?
everybody's blasted already. You're so drunk you want to fucking punch the hotel staff. You don't need more booze. Like everybody can go. They also, by the way, this is a family that owns and operates bars and restaurants. They could have just gone to one of their own bars or restaurants and drank there for free. Like even they don't even have to go to their own houses where they also have booze. Like they could have gone somewhere else. The fact that this particular place, but it elevated to a point of disrespect for which that's why the hands got thrown. My mom,
Right.
absolutely furious. And I think the only thing that even shattered the dark mood of the moment was the fact that Princess Diana had died in Paris, I believe.
Yeah. So, sorry. At what point does that fact come to life during the the party? Because I thought it happened. Like I remember hearing about it roughly around midday, and it's one of those things that I didn't care as much as I might have cared about the Kennedy assassination or what have you. But I definitely remember it being on newspapers in the before noon time.
Well, I guess the question would be which day, because I remember it breaking into the early evening hours East Coast time on that. I'm presuming it was a Saturday because it was a wedding.
Yeah, it would have been well, if it was TAOM, it would have been over the weekend. So yeah, no, I think it would have been Saturday. Or late Friday night, Saturday morning is what I would imagine.
Yeah. So
Also, here's the difference between being with your family versus being at a convention of magicians is all of my magician friends were trying to figure out the best one-liners or whatever. And I'll spare this person who I love very, very much because his line was just good enough that to be memorable. I will never forget him lamenting that the headline, because it was both Princess Di and what Dodi Fayed was
Yep.
her fiance, right?
Yep.
And oftentimes headlines will say a person's name, comma, another person's name, and he was upset that the headline didn't read "Die, Dodi, Die." Which is just catchy enough for me to remember it 20 plus years later, but no more appropriate.
You want to know? All right, so I'll go in with you, so you're just not the one saying something
Thank you.
horrifying about this tragedy.
And also
I
not
don't-
my words. I'm just remembering somebody else's words who I did not name.
I don't remember the setup. All right. So maybe this buys me something. I'm not
Okay.
going to tell a tasteless Princess Diana joke. I'm only going to tell you the punchline of a tasteless Princess Diana joke
For factual purposes, yes.
for factual purposes. And to be fair, I don't remember the setup. I only remember when you mentioned a tasteless joke. I only remember the punchline for whatever
There's
reason.
no way you could be held accountable. You're just reporting. You're a journalist on the ground. You're an award-winning reporter and an expert
Yeah.
in the Kennedy assassination. Go ahead.
I remember that the setup has something to do with shampoo. And the punchline was because they found her head and shoulders in the glove box.
God damn it. God damn it. Okay.
So if you remember the setup, please email Bryce Neshkov.
Nope. I'll tell you what though. Am I remembering right? Was it Alec Baldwin who immediately leapt on the paparazzi in that moment? And then later it came out that no, the paparazzi did not personally assassinate Princess Di. It was not their fault. They were driving recklessly and drunk or whatever. And then in my imagination, in my memory, it was Alec Baldwin who was just like, yeah, but still, fuck the paparazzi. Am I right?
Well,
or maybe it was Stephen Baldwin. I don't know.
No. That sounds
That
more
sounds very
than
Alec
Stephen.
Baldwin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I would say, I don't remember the actual postmortem on it. Like I don't remember. I do remember that the only memories I have were how fast were the cars going? ? And there being a civil suit involving how many
Paparazzi.
drinks. How many drinks the driver had, and that there was a question on the blood alcohol content, and that if memory serves, the blood alcohol content was like legally above the limit, but very barely above the limit. So I don't know.
Ugh.
I don't know.
Man, if only the Crown would, inject their hard-hitting
I'll tell you what.
journalism.
That show fucking hates Prince Charles. Holy shit, do they bury this dude?
Should I watch it? I've not yet dived in yet.
I don't know if you would make it through the first season. The first season is and apparently that was the only season that the royal family watched and really liked. And it is very doting on the queen and the idea of sacrifice and what it means. And it's very much a personal journey for her. And it humanizes the fact that like this person who has this ridiculous title in this ridiculous age has to do stuff. And also it's like an interesting study of kind of like character dynamics of like what happens in the 50s when a woman becomes way more powerful than her husband, like, which is something that like was odd. It was like,
Right.
it's odd now.
Or
It's super
any
odd.
traditional station of a woman at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it gets a little bit more like this fourth season. They're like, it's like the fucking Sopranos. Like there are episodes where you're like, you people are sociopaths. Like this is a mob family. The things that you guys are doing and just blithely like, a gin martining away in the afternoon is like criminal, like sociopathically criminal. But that being said, there's some the acting's really great, and holy shit, if you have ever wanted to watch the presentation of Prince Charles just get fucking buried repeatedly. Like as a kid, they have a whole episode where they're like, this kid's a pussy. He's a big whiny pussy. The character arc is you think he's a pussy, and it turns out he is. And also, he still is right now. Like he's very, very much a big old pussy.
So I got two threads. You could pick which way we want to go.
Go.
Last night, two things happened. One, I made further headway in trying to get Penny into watching Kim's Convenience with us. I also tried on One Punch Man with her. Also, both of the kids' brains exploded when I showed them that Childish Gambino is Troy from Community. Like they
Really?
that like they knew all those words, but
Yeah.
that superposition collapsing was very uncomfortable for them, and neither of them made it more than like 15 seconds into the This is America video. like they were just like, can't
Wow.
handle, bye. like
I
I
mean, I'll
can't
tell
make
you
this.
what, when they're ready to really have their brains melt like Rudy Giuliani at a press conference, just show them that spelling bee sketch.
Oh, geez, I forgot that's him. Oh my God, yes. Jeez Louise. Okay, well then, Kim's Convenience.
I've never seen it.
So part of the charm, I am certain, as it has been written, and keep in mind, it's enjoyed 6 very successful seasons in Canada. Now there are 4 on Netflix. It is charming and wonderful and delightful, but there is no question that part of its charm is the broken, heavily accented Korean English being spoken by the first generation parents, and they make no bones about it. The parents were not refugees; they came from Korea. As a matter of fact, the second generation son and daughter like flat out say, pretty sure they flew Air Canada. I don't understand what's
Yeah.
going on. And meanwhile, one of their teachers is like, oh, but in your photography assignment, if you could really portray their plight. And she's like, I just remember him as the guy that, flicked me in the head. Like, what's a flick? What are you talking about? And apparently it's a Korean thing that instead of a spanking, you would just flick the forehead or whatever.
Flick him in the head.
Right. Yeah. And the deeper they go into all of that, the more delightful and electric the show becomes to me. But I also become very confused, possibly in a comedy aroused way, when I remember that this same actor I saw as, speaking perfect English in The Mandalorian, and I don't know if there's a good or bad angle to anything. All I know is that it's confusing and comedically exciting to me, that I love the character all the more for the broken Korean accented Canadian English.
Yeah.
I guess if you haven't seen it, there's probably not much I've left you to chime in on outside of permission for me to continue enjoying this.
Granted.
Okay. Yeah.
Permission granted.
It's great.
Well, no,
it's
I mean,
it's great. I would love to get your take on it. It's
I think that there's a couple of things that sort of like need to be unwound in our modern culture of like caricatures and characters and the authenticity, but who tells the stories, right? It's a different story if it's Scarlett Johansson doing accented English, right? If trying to tell another story, or if it's all written by if every version of that story cumulatively is all written by white guys. And I don't know what that line is, and I don't think anybody knows what that line is. I just think that what we are seeing, the pain that we see, is just societal pressure saying we would like to see more from these, like now we can all laugh, because I don't know where the creative minds of Kim's Convenience are, but I would presume it is likely somebody Korean.
Yes,
But
it feels an awful lot, and if this is not the case, then fine, come at me. But it feels an awful lot like somebody writing vaguely autobiographically, where it's like, it doesn't feel like there's a bunch of white Canadians who said, well, let's imagine what it's like to be the child of a first generation Korean immigrant in Canada. And
Yeah.
I assume it comes from a good place with a lot of heart, because that's certainly how it's portrayed. But they do not shy away from the racism against the Japanese and from the predisposition and from the broken accented English, which I genuinely feel like the show would not be near as good if they took those things away. And that
think,
creates a complicated feeling for me.
Well, but I think the question is, okay, well, is that where the character is? Is that who the character is? The problem becomes, I'm still going back and listening to early Harmontowns, and like in the beginning of Kumail Nanjiani coming on the show, they are talking about how he was in the final casting for Abed on Community, and like how he came very close to getting it, and how much he loved Kumail Nanjiani loved the idea that it was a character for which he didn't have to do a racial pandering kind of thing for, and he was describing the idea that you can even read it on the script that like, oh, the writer wrote this as somebody doing a crazy accent.
Right.
And so they're just finding the person. And he was like going through like what casting directors will tell you when they want you to be more buffoonish.
The way they'll dance around, could you do an Apu without saying, could you do an Apu?
And it's like,
right.
Could you do it again, but more?
Well, like, and which ironically later in Harmontown, you hear Dan Harmon talking about what it's like to be in the recording studio with Key and Peele, trying to dance around saying, could you black it up a little bit? Like essentially being guilty of the exact same thing.
Of the same thing, right? But the idea is that everything shouldn't be that. And so it's like, okay, the lovable parents of first generation parents in a convenience store with their kids that are fully assimilated, that's something that like not only is probably accurate for them, but also is accurate for a ton of Hispanic families that I knew growing up, that like all you need to do is change the accent and you've got a shockingly similar story, or European or Irish or anything like that. Like there is like a large swath of the population for which in a nation of immigrants can relate to that story, even though it's Canadian, but still.
Right.
That's, I think that to me is the difference. That's why it's like, oh, okay. Like I guess it's like when everyone's in on the joke, it's different.
Yeah, and I think the writing definitely helps because, as the patriarch of, our nuclear family, 3 daughters, a wife, and me, there's a shocking amount of time that I identify with Appa Kim, the dad, but also it's like he makes a lot of ego-driven mistakes that he gets called out on by his wife or whatever. So I identify with her. And then, the eldest son going out trying to make it on his own without any help from mom or dad. We're almost done with the first season, and I don't believe that the dad and the son have even had a conversation yet, which is tantric level comedic tension to hold on to. And but then just as easy as to switch or flip the switch and identify with the younger daughter who's in college trying to make it as an independent artist, and her parents don't understand, like, why don't you take a nice picture symmetrically, posed and all this stuff. There's something about the lack of a particular anchor that causes me to delight in everybody's idiosyncrasies, because the oldest son, veers into full-on frat bro territory, and I don't know. I would really love for you to give it a try, because I would love to have a more informed dialogue if there's ever a chance.
Yeah, it'll be next after whatever's up for the Expanse, the new Expanse season. We got this new Mandalorian season, or new Mandalorian episode to end the season that apparently people just keep.
Yeah, I guess
about today on Twitter.
Yeah, tonight's the big one, or I guess it's already out.
Oh, people are horny, Brian. People are horny for this Mandalorian.
Yeah, I don't want to cause trouble. I don't think we have enough time for me to get all Mandy in this. We could do it another time.
Oh, Mandy. Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's been interesting to actually get through The Crown, because we definitely like quit on it. like halfway through.
Oh,
the
on
first season.
Mandalorian?
No, on the Crown.
Oh,
like halfway
The
through
Crown.
the first season,
Sorry.
and now we're about to, and we have one more episode, and then we're gonna be done. Oh, Scully plays Margaret Thatcher. If that piques your interest.
Oh, that's amazing. I saw
Yeah.
her at E3, and it was my first glimpse in terms of what it's like to be somebody who's famous for a thing, but finds themselves in a place making money doing a thing that is not the thing that made them famous. She was famous for being, Scully from X-Files, but she was definitely making money being here looking at a line 3 hours long of gamers who are going to walk up and, I don't know how deep we want to go into this, but you and I got a peek into that when we set up our world record attempt with getting sci-fi icons to quote lines from other movies. And we noticed that some people would have kind of material that they would run through where it's like, it was there was one person that you and I were both really shocked, flattered, and confused that this person kept wanting to talk to us until one person showed up behind us in line. Suddenly, they were all done and wrapped it up and moved on. And then it's like, oh, of course, the last thing you want to be in one of these situations is somebody who has no line and is sitting there waiting patiently, looking at their phone or whatnot. Oh no.
You are
Do we have bad audio?
Yeah, I can kind of, you're dropping in.
Yeah. It's happening both on the audio and the video, so I don't know if that's on my end or yours. Maybe it's a sign from above. Or maybe you are reconnecting right now? Question mark.
All right, how about this?
Hey, you look great. You look great.
Oh, you want to know what? I actually think, because I now have both my wireless. I got a Wi-Fi antenna so I could connect to my printer, and I think my monkey brains just died, and it just automatically went to the Wi-Fi, and now I have Wi-Fi from Comcast.
I mean,
good.
You look and sound great. I was just telling the story about how when we were at Dragon Con, we noticed that people had material. I was saying that Scully was the first person that I ever saw work a line where it relies on a different set of skills than necessarily the skills that made you famous. That is the reason that there's a line in front of you. And you and I saw at when we did the Not My Line, we saw various degrees of developed skills when it comes to managing that different situation.
Oh my God. Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. But she's good. She's good as Margaret Thatcher. But boy, does that show also not like Margaret Thatcher. Spoiler alert.
What? Man, I just realized to even get a answer that would make sense, I would have to learn more about The Crown than I give a rat's ass about.
No, I mean, like you could boil it down to hey, a bunch of in London. Do you think they were really excited or not excited?
Oh no. This time audio went out, but I'm seeing your video and it's very clear that you're talking about Margaret Thatcher. I could see that because your mouth is forming the words Margaret Thatcher, but I'm not seeing it. Your audio is out. I don't know if that's on my end. 2 words, 2 syllables, sounds like a movie. Not sure how to portray pulp. First word sounds like oh really? So you can't hear me? You cannot hear me? This is kind of fun for the audio listeners. For anybody wondering, it's exactly what you would picture. Picture the two of us being able to see each other but not able to talk. I suppose I could call them. It's the Brits. I do like that idea that the British full on, they're talking about the Crown over in the Americas, the colonies. They're at us again. This time it's 2 podcasters. I'll have none of it, I tell you. There we go. So here, I'll just We'll just give him a call, see if we can get audio. Might have to end up a little bit early today. Which, not for nothing, today's episode of The Modern Rogue is the long one, so I'll be doing it like a live premiere. Oh, it looks like he's rebooting everything, including the lights. Oh, nope. Now everybody knows what Justin's voicemail sounds like. So I'll leave it to you guys. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Does Brian watch The Crown? Yes or no? Because I'm starting One Punch Man for the second time, and they made it all of the second episode when they started playing on the trope of anime being nothing but sexy boobs and butts. and they immediately started doing that instantly. Okay, thumbs up for watching The Crown. Thumbs down. Don't think you'll enjoy it. We all have Justin's phone number anyway. Good point. That's an actual fact. Should watch Southland. From what I hear, according to the person who said I should watch Southland, it's a lot like the Shield, which is great. The Buck says pass. Mad Scientist Kel says haven't seen it, but I haven't paid my streaming service. That would explain that. All right. Now, either Justin is in the middle of an earthquake, or he's behind the camera adjusting a bunch of things. And to be honest, if you guys are comfortable just hanging around, I really could watch this all day long. Has anybody in the chat experienced an earthquake? Because I don't know that I ever have. And I'm almost certain we've talked about this before. But as JSC315 says, can we just hang? Hells yeah, man. Although in general, I feel like the way Twitch is designed is so that we can hang out while we have something to look at, like a video game or something. 1080 Rock says, I'm from California. You get used to it. I believe that. That doesn't make it any less strange to me. I suppose like I'm used to hurricanes, although it is so bizarre. And I know we've talked about this before, but it is so bizarre to live in a reality where almost never the power goes out and almost always the cable stays on. Like, I wish I could express to my own children and to anybody under the age of 20 just how common losing power and losing cable was back in the day. I suppose we're experiencing that right now in that, like, it's not at all unusual to lose internet, but it will be unusual in 20 years, right?
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, we were talking about, like, when we were kids, losing cable or losing power. Neither one of those was weird. But nowadays, very weird, even in the middle of a hurricane or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I just realized that just now we're experiencing a thing that is very common today, losing internet, that will sound very weird in 20 years.
Yeah. No, I would think so. Now I have no idea why my fucking smart lights aren't working.
No, it's great. I actually love it. It looks like you're in the middle of a.
I'm in a fucking interrogation because I had to go and pull apart this setup that I have that I just redid the whole fucking studio, but I didn't leave enough so I could unplug my monkey brains and plug in my Comcast, and then I pulled plugs out, and then I was replugging stuff, and now for whatever reason, I'm gonna get this out of here. Don't make me bring my partner in here.
Torek underscore says that they always had flashlights and candles ready. Man, I can't remember the last time that we lit candles because we wanted light and didn't have any. That's so bizarre. And even when the power does go out, you use your cell phone, and your cell phone magically still remains connected over the LTE connection or whatever. So it's like you're still busy playing and texting and chatting, and it's like nothing changed.
Yeah, it's like now the big thing is solar-powered battery chargers. If you have a solar-powered battery charger, you're probably fine. You'll be able to survive.
Yeah, or even like a hand crank, a Google box.
Yeah, right.
So what upcoming, normally we try to wrap up on thinking about things we're excited and happy about. What do we got in the next like 2 to 3 months, content wise, that we're excited about? I know that Expanse coming back, that's a thing. I assume a billion years from now, Rick and Morty will come back. Is there anything else you're really stoked and fired up about?
Wait, is there still a half season of Rick and Morty, or did they burn through? Was that the full season that we saw?
I'm gonna no. They did a half season and then they took a break and then they did another half season.
The back half. Of
yeah,
that season.
the first
Gotcha.
half they said like all we could make less than you deserve, I think was their tagline.
Yeah.
But have we talked much about the day and date? Well, I know we talked about it the day it was announced with HBO Max. But now that it's been a minute, do you care, or were you surprised that Disney didn't get on that train, or no?
No, because Disney actually has the movies that make money at the box office.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers wants, like, they're trying to do it, right? They've got some movies that do it, but a lot of times they launch shit that just totally poops the bed. I'm not shocked that Disney didn't, because again, like the top grossing movies at the box office are Disney movies. So they also want to protect that. That's a gigantic, like, they know what they're doing at the movie theaters. It's the other studios that don't. Like, it maybe Universal with Fast and the Furious and stuff. Like, they also have like bankable franchises, but Disney has all of them. They've got all the rest. It's like all these other movies, a bunch of kid shit, and Fast and the Furious. That's what makes money at the box office. So, and also it's like, I think for them, they also have a plan for their digital streaming service.
Yeah, it's got
like
52 goddamn bullet points in their latest meeting, and the last of which is like also go back to the theaters, you jerks.
Well, but like they were like, all right, yeah, no, we're gonna do television shows that bridge the gaps between our movies. And now they're just like, yeah, now we have television shows. And eventually when movies come back, we'll have movies again. But and the ones that we need to burn, we'll throw on there. The other ones we'll fucking charge you the bonus price, and we'll hope that you want to pay it if it's not a shitty Mulan remake. And we're just gonna roll from there.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not surprised that Disney didn't. It'll be curious to see what Universal does, and how heavily they factor in Peacock into what they're doing, and I do wonder whether or not there's going to be a reckoning on, whether or not everything gets back to the movies, right? Like, what is that line of like, all right, Fast and the Furious for sure, but beyond that, is there something that we can strike a deal with people with the creators to put it on the streaming service?
I suppose the thing that we don't know, like we do have a loose idea objectively as to what the rollout of vaccines looks like and how many people will be vaccinated in what order. The thing that Hollywood thought they knew is when people would be comfortable going back into movie theaters, and they chose as the dude in the Indiana Jones movie said, poorly, and Tenet was a disaster. So the question is not when is it objectively safe to go back. The question is when will enough people feel like they personally are safe to go back. And I think that to HBO Max, hey, we almost burned off our hand touching that stove, so here's our new thing. We're going to be the last ones to go back to theaters and depend on it. Bye. It's us, HBO.
Well, I mean, really do all that, but replace it with AT&T. Because I think AT&T is like, hey, HBO, how are those? Man, I'll tell you what. Fuck, HBO, so glad to see you, man. It's me, AT&T. I'm your dad now. Hey, how's that? Heard that HBO Max was a big success. You got a lot of money, huh? And HBO Max is like, growing pains. We're doing. It's fledgling. And AT&T's like, fuck.
Dad,
Dude, I am
Daddy
I am
AT&T, let me just remind you that we're literally, I believe, the 7th or 8th major player to enter the market. We were a little bit late.
Don't care.
Little
Don't
late.
care. I am all right. Look, I know I'm your new dad, but I'm AT&T, and I don't want to get into grown-up shit with you right now, but let's just say that Dad is in big fucking trouble with some very powerful people called Goldman Sachs,
Ugh.
and a lot of private money is out there. So we need you to be generating cash, bringing it back
Yeah.
home.
I
We've
don't
got
know.
some debts we need to pay.
Look, I understand you're
immediately.
banging mommy money, but I mean, it's like there's a lot of folks who got there first. There's, I mean, have you seen Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime?
I'm hearing a lot of problems, and I trust you to fix them and turn them into money.
Well,
so I don't care what you need to do.
I don't know,
but
I
am getting. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm getting a call.
Okay,
Wow,
okay.
that one's going right to voicemail.
Okay.
That one's going right to voicemail.
Oh.
People I don't need to be talking to because they are looking for cash.
I
So
mean-
how about you start making some calls? Hey, what about Dune? The nerds love Dune. Why don't you put Dune out on? On that will get people to sign up, right? These
Oh.
fucking neckbeards, they eat it up.
Daddy AT&T, you understand that it's not like, I mean, if it were up to me, we would totally violate the 90-day window. We go straight to day and date release, but that's not possible.
Yeah,
in
okay,
Hollywood.
sure. So what else? Suicide Squad.
Oh,
did that
that'd be
already
great.
come out?
That'd be great.
Yeah. Why don't you put
Unfortunately,
that on? Just
also,
put that right on there.
Yeah.
If you put all that shit on there, wouldn't all these fucking freakazoids
Man.
just sign up immediately?
Have you ever called a theater and heard them be all like, "Man, we don't want you to release
Wow,
the thing
that
outside
one's
of-"
going to voicemail too. Okay.
Okay.
We are out of time here, HBO. We are out of time. In fact, all right. If anybody talks to you and asks where I am,
Yes.
you don't know.
Yes.
And the last place I was hiding under Ma Bell's skirt. So you need to go there and do what you need to do. I don't care who you need to fuck over, but we need to churn and burn this shit into cash immediately.
Look, I'm not saying I can make some radical changes that are going to upend the industry,
Great.
but
So it's an agreement. Bye.
okay, bye AT&T. Hey, so anyway, all those posters that say Wonder Woman, theaters only, Christmas 19, just kill them. Burn them all. No explanation. We're going to trump it. Just pretend we never said that, and we're done.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. We essentially just gave you the dramatized version of why all this happened because
We just pulled a crown.
Comcast has money, right? Disney's cutting, but like they at least are on the upswing. They bet well on they microwaved the Netflix. Congratulations to them. They've got the IP. That's what moves the needle these days. AT&T is riddled with debt, made a dog shit acquisition of DirecTV, and now they are relying on Warner Brothers and HBO Max to actually make money. And that's why all this shit is happening.
And I mean, we've talked about this, but it's like in a world where you're not going to make money, you can at least make headlines, and they're definitely making headlines. Like they're making, I perceive, the best play they possibly could, given the insane, awful position that they're in and the poor branding choices they've made. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, it's a pivot, and it's a pivot from, because quite honestly, HBO, which theoretically in another world was the marker for quality television, some of the stuff has been a little hit or miss.
Yeah.
lately.
So maybe what? Just lean into the garbage. Just
Well, no. Now they became movies, first run movies.
Right.
Do you want first run movies? You need to get HBO Max. You're not going to get first run movies on Netflix. You're not going to get first run movies on Disney. You're going to get first run in theater day and date movies on HBO Max, at least for the next year. And they're going to fucking hope and pray that actually gets people to sign up for their shit.
I actually think it will. I have been a very, very vocal hater on everything they've done so far, but this is the one thing that smacks of truly bold vision that may yield success. But We'll find out. All right, we're over time. Justin, I love you.
I love you.
Have a great week. Happy hour.
Happy hour. Night Attacks Happy Hour. Night Attacks Happy Hour. Dig.